Welcome to Seriously Seinfeld, the serious side of Seinfeld, by Rebecca Conrad. I'm Rob Gerard, your narrator. Insight on Jerry Seinfeld. At his very core, and from the time he was a young kid, Jerry Seinfeld was a very funny person. Some people are born with that quality. It's not something you could pick up along the way or learn later. You either have it or you don't. He had the insight back then to know he possessed the potential to do one of the hardest things there is, to make people really laugh, and to make them want to see him and hear him again and again. Eventually, he had to drop this bombshell on his parents and come out as a funny person, a poignant moment in his life, as it was one thing to know you were funny, but quite another to try to convince the very people who are supposed to be molding and shaping you into a responsible, successful adult that this is probably your best quality, and maybe it could lead to something. Jerry will be the first to admit that being a comedian is one of the most difficult jobs there is. Even though he had a propensity for it, comedians have to create their own material continually, and they have to nail it every time. A comedic genius can literally look at a dinner roll on a plate and see the humor in it and deliver on that humor. The laughter is the reward for him, not awards, accolades, and distinctions, and to hear him tell it, not even the vast fortune that found its way into his bank account. He never wanted to be the guy on stage collecting a couple of golden trophies for telling his jokes. He wanted, and still wants, to be the guy in the back of the room whispering jokes and innuendos about the celebrity up on stage receiving a Best Actor award for delivering scripted lines that were written for him. It is this element that really drives home, for me, the reason why Jerry was and will always be one of the greatest comedians to grace our lives. He has understated, "Don't look at me in awe. I just want you to understand why a dinner roll on a plate is hilarious quality." He doesn't have to show off with over-the-top gags to get our attention. He just is. He earned his greatness humbly and naturally, and it is for these reasons that he rose to the top. The ones who try too hard for the laughs, while talented in some ways, don't have the natural comedy flair that Seinfeld does, which is especially appealing. He cannot not be funny. Playing a semi-fictionalized version of himself on his own show, he immediately became my favorite of the four main characters. It is not often that one will pick Jerry as their favorite, as the other three offer simpler character traits that people expect and love. And while they evolved into their roles perfectly, I just wanted to see the straight man in the scenes. Kramer was the physical guy, falling off the furniture or struggling to walk because his pants were too tight. George was the somewhat typical loser friend of the group, often plodding his way in and out of humorous situations. Elaine, the female friend and ex-girlfriend of Jerry, was a great fit to address the female perspective of things. But while I loved each of them for what they brought to the Seinfeld table, it was, and still is today, Jerry who brought it all together for me. He's the one I imagine getting a cup of coffee with. He's the one who is always in my answer to, what three famous people would you invite over to dinner? The other two are often being interchanged in a rotational celebrity Rolodex. He's the one whose show from 32 years ago I keep going back to every day, whose newer show I continue to watch, whose new book is often in my nightstand. He's the one dominating my Google searches. Jerry has said he is most proud of having done a show that people will look back on and always laugh at. Will he ever realize his effect on people? Not likely to the degree it is felt. The world has changed, but comedy, luckily, has not. And for that reason alone, I will continue to watch Seinfeld at every opportunity and be especially happy when Jerry is the one walking through the apartment door right into my life. Rebecca. Thank you for tuning in to another blog episode of Seriously Seinfeld. Don't forget to join the Facebook group Seinfeld Fanatics and look for Rebecca Conrad.